Oh, okay, everybody, let's recap the lesson. So we are on topic 2, lesson 1.1 on solving equations. And so we talked about solving equations again, but they gave us these properties. So what do these properties mean? Addition property of equality. So it's basically saying if you add something, but if you add the same thing to both sides, it stays equal. If you subtract the same thing from both sides of an equation, it stays equal. If you multiply the same thing to both sides of an equation, it stays equal. And if you divide by the same number on both sides of the equation, it stays equal. So then I gave some examples. Okay, here it is. So we know that if we're going to go to solve this equation, we want plus 4 plus 4. We're using the addition property of equality. Next example. Here's my example. If I instead went subtract 6, subtract 6. It's my subtraction property of equality. In my other example here, if I went times by 3 to solve it, times by 3, it stays equal. And I'm using the multiplication property of equality. And then finally, I showed an example. If I divide by 2 on both sides, it stays equal. Division property of equality. So then, in the book, we looked at those properties and we looked at this problem. And the book said, well, what if you do have a solution? Let's say your answer is 2. How can you prove your answer is 2? Well, we looked at Sarah's equation. We looked at Ethan's equation, and we plugged the value x equals 2, n for x, into both equations. So I took 2 and I plugged it into Sarah's, in for her x, into both x values. So I'm going to put the 2 in for x here and here. And I did that. I got a negative 6 plus 14, I wound up with 8. I got a 18 minus 10, and I got an 8. So yeah, that's how you verify it's true. So if you get a true statement, 8 equals 8, something like that. Once it's a true statement, you can say, yeah, you verified that answer is correct. We also verified it over here. We took the 2 and plugged it in for x into Ethan's equation, here and here. And then when the 2 is there, we got 2 times 2 is 4. Put the 2 there. Half of 2 is 1. 5 minus 1 is 1. 4 equals 4. That's a true statement. So then, okay, we know x is equal to 2, and we solved both. So it solved a little bit differently. I went plus 5x, give me a 2x. Then I went minus 14, give me a 4. I divided by 2, and I got 2. Like I knew it was 2, okay? And then, second equation, how do you solve it? I added half of an x. I added half of an x, it's a 2.5x. And then 2 plus 1 half. 2 plus 1 half is 2.5, or 2.5. Divided by 2.5, and I got x equals 2. So it did verify it was right. Then we turned the page, and we looked at the other properties of equality, okay? So, commutative property. What it's saying is that when you add two numbers, you can add in any order. So order is important, okay? Example we went over, I'll show you, was this one. Commutative property, right? So 3 plus 2, same as 2 plus 3. The order doesn't matter. You get the same answer. Same thing with multiplication. Associative property has to do with 3 numbers, and you can either add the first 2 together, then the third, or the second 2, and get the same answer. So we showed an example of that. I've got 8 plus 7 plus 3. That's a 3. Bad look at 3. Or you could switch it around and go 8 plus 7 plus 3. You get the same answer. And why would I shift it? It's easier to add here. And same thing with multiplication. Instead of half 5, I can just shift it over and multiply here. So this has to do with moving parentheses, okay? And then finally, our last problem. Our last property is distributive property, which I know you guys know that. Just going to take that times that times that. And so I showed an example of solving. Oh, let me scoot this up. 3 times x plus 2, I just went 3 times x, 3x, 3 times 2, I got 6. And then finally, we solved the last couple of problems. They are a little bit bigger. We just went that times that times that. 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times 1 is 3. To solve it, I went minus 4x, give me a 2x plus 3. Then I solved some more, minus 3, I got a 2x equals 3, and then I divided by 2, 3 halves, or 1 and 1 half, or 1.5. All of those are the same answer. Equation B, even though I have a fraction, I can deal with it. So what we notice is these parentheses here, there's nothing in front. So we didn't really need these parentheses here, so we dropped them. Then I combined 2 and 1, I got a 3. And then, come on in, I'm recording. And then I went minus 1 half x, minus 1 half x. And I got 2 minus 1 half x is a 1.5 or 1 and a half x. I'm just solving. Minus 3 and minus 3, because I'm solving, get rid of the positive 3, gives me negative 9. And then I divide by 1.5x, and I got negative 6, okay? Lastly, we looked at the difference between these two. How do they solve it? Kaylee distributed. That's probably the way I would do it. Destiny said, oh, wait, everything's divisible by 4, so Destiny divided everything by 4 first. They got the same answer, just different ways to do it. Okay, and that's all I had. For homework, we had a skills practice. We had a worksheet. So if you need the worksheet, come see me. Okay, and that's all I have.